Welcome to Tanakh Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live from Kingsland, Texas, USA, with another episode of TNT, the Twisted New Testament, with Rabbi Stuart, man, Federow, by his book, Judaism and Christianity, a contrast, or Judaismo and Christianitio, a contrasto. I don't know the translation, but it is in Spanish. So, glad to see that's there. Before it came about, everybody was asking for a Spanish translation of it, so thankfully it's here. And you guys can order that and send it to your friends. Buy a couple of these covers of the books and just keep them on hand. I have given out numerous copies, of course, that were courtesy of Rabbi Federow. Yep, very good. All right, so here we go. Tonight, Isaiah 53:5. So the claim is that because they believe that's talking about Jesus and by his stripes we're healed. So I guess if we don't believe that he died for our sins, then our prayers won't be answered. Then when we pray for others, it'll just fall to the wayside. That's kind of the point. So prayers won't be heard. So that's where we're at.
Does that honestly, I mean, on any level, does that make sense?
No.
I mean, I don't understand how anybody can even come up with that conclusion just because of that one verse. It is just borderline stupid.
You know, you have dissected this Isaiah 53 like handfuls of times, and there's so many flaws in that and every one of them point away from Jesus. So for them to even still believe that it's even talking about him is problematic altogether. So, you know. So how do you want to start this?
There's so much. Look, let's talk about the issues first of all. Okay. So a person who believes that by his stripes we are healed implies you cannot be healed of anything without Jesus' stripes.
Technically the supernatural aspect of it, yeah. Like if somebody healed of cancer, well, that sure wouldn't happen unless you did it in Jesus' name.
Which means that up until the time of Isaiah, nobody ever was healed of any illness, okay, because Jesus hadn't died for their sins yet.
Yep, that's kind of what it was.
Okay, so suggest, right? I don't know. Let's see. Moses praying for Miriam. El na rafanallah. Please, God, heal her, please.
Right.
Okay. What does the usual line they quote? 2 Chronicles 7:14. Wait a minute.
Hold on. I got somebody calling in. This is not a call-in show. Not tonight, anyway.
Well, wait. Tell them to call back in a little while. This isn't going to take that long.
All right. Well, let me do this then. Let me just tell them to hold. Set on hold. Oh, they already hung up. Okay. If they call back, I'll answer and tell them to just stay on hold till we're done.
Yeah, this won't take that long.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, everything we've said, we've said before.
Mm-hmm. Right.
2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. Christians will throw this up. They'll even put it in front of their houses whenever there's a natural disaster. If my people, which are called by my name,
shall humble themselves and pray. Yep.
What?
Oh, I was reading along with you by testing my memory.
If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, will forgive their sin, and will heal their land.
Yep.
And where exactly in there does it say anything about stripes?
Right.
I mean, it's
unfortunate.
It is amazing to me that anybody would come up to the conclusion that by his stripes we are healed means we can only be healed by his stripes.
Right.
Okay. Well, that also brings in the issue of, do we even need a blood sacrifice for the forgiveness of sin, which everybody and their brother has discussed on Tanakh Talk. I mean, anybody who's never heard the arguments against the Christian concept, you have to have a blood sacrifice for the forgiveness of sin, can probably pull up 20 of videos on Tanakh Talk of a wide variety of people discussing this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. blood sacrifices were the weakest form of finding forgiveness because they only worked for accidental sin.
Right.
If I commit first-degree premeditated cold-blooded murder, God forgives me. If I give up a cow, I mean, please. Let's see. When Solomon dedicates the temple, the only temple on planet Earth, to the only God of the universe, what does he say? There's going to come a time where we won't have this temple anymore. We'll be carried off to the land of our enemies. Let them face this place, repent, stop doing the bad, and God will forgive them. So it's the very dedication of the very place where they're going to be doing the blood sacrifices for the forgiveness of sin. Solomon says there's going to be coming a time where all you'll have to do is face this place, pray, stop doing the bad, and God will forgive you, because Solomon knew you didn't have to have a blood sacrifice for the forgiveness of sin. I mean, William, how does anybody come to the conclusion? So, another element of this, that if we were doing this in deep detail, okay, God has never answered the prayer of a Hindu.
Yeah.
God has never answered the prayer of a Muslim. God has never answered the prayer of a Buddhist. God has never answered the prayer of a Jain. God has never answered the prayer of, they're probably Protestant, so are they going to say that, Catholicism isn't real Christianity, therefore their prayers haven't been answered? What to what degree of lunacy do you want to take this? So there's about a half a dozen different ways to approach this. Each one shows you don't have to have a blood sacrifice for the forgiveness of sin. Right. Oh, we didn't even talk about human sacrifice.
Right.
The stripes of Jesus, is a human sacrifice. It was a human, either Jesus the God died on the cross, or it was Jesus the human who died on the cross. Well, as I keep saying, my God cannot die. Sorry about yours. So if Jesus the God died, that's not God. God can't die. It means that the only entity that could have died on the cross, supposedly saving the people from their sins, is Jesus the human. And what does God say about human sacrifice?
Mm-hmm.
It's an abomination and something he hates. In Deuteronomy. Another element that we would normally talk about, is, do you realize how badly it limits God to say that God will only forgive someone if there's a blood sacrifice, if they accept Jesus? That puts a limitation on God. God is not so limited. My ways are not your ways. I will visit mercy upon those I visit mercy. I will not visit mercy upon those I will not visit mercy. It is so beyond my ability to comprehend how someone can conclude by his stripes we are healed means you have to have his stripes in order to be healed.
Right.
You want to chime in here?
I'm just enjoying it.
Oh, okay. My end of rant. How's that?
Yeah, there you go.
Is our caller still on? Do we know what?
Well, we have another caller on, so.
Okay.
Should we go take it?
Unless, is there something else you wanted to discuss?
No, that's pretty much it. Like you said, everything about it, or shall I say, nothing about it, really has any value to it at all. You know? Even just the practical essence of it, like that'd be like me saying, no matter how much I love my son, hey, I cut myself with a table saw the other day, so you'll never have to worry about ever having to pay for that. I've just did that for you. There's really no common sense with it at all. Much less supernatural. So, but you're right. Another thing, my biggest thought was that there's rumors of miracles happening, in basically every religion under the sun. So that's really kind of the stupidest thing in the world to try to push as an agenda. So anyway. Okay, go ahead and push you in and take this caller.
Hey,
Yeah.
I see Shannon is on here.
Oh, cool. Hey, Shannon. How you doing, girl?
Shannon, we've got Beinenu in the United States, don't we? Or do they? Wait, I don't remember. I think we do.
I think so too, because Rabbi Singer is not going to be on this Sunday because he's going to be in the States. So, and it may be a Beinenu conference sort of thing too. So,
right.
I'll find out. We'll see.
Yeah.
So, all right, good deal. So, all right.
Glad to hear that about your dad, Shannon.
Oh, that's good. I just now saw it. Very nice.
All right. So you want to go to the phony call?
Oh, I said they canceled the event, but she'll be in the States.
Oh.
Okay. So it looks like Rabbi Singer might be doing some good, much needed family visitation.
Okay, good.
So,
good
but again, for all you watchers out there, again, Rabbi Singer will not be on this Sunday because of the travels. So,
right.
But I will have a show to replay that only about 150 people saw, and he gets like 5,000 to 10,000 views. So basically, it's been unseen by most of you guys. So it'll be a fresh show, even though it was recorded last month. So, okay, we're gonna take this call. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from. One second.
Uh-oh.
No, they're good. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Hey guys, it's the Rev Robbins over here in North Carolina. Hope you guys are doing well.
Doing well. How are you, Rev?
Man, I'm trying to get over this nasty COVID.
Wow.
So I am. I didn't get a chance to get in yesterday. The one thing I wanted to ask, and I figured Rabbi Stuart would probably know just as well. What is the New Jerusalem? I know it's talked about in Revelations and Ezekiel, but one sounds good and one sounds like the ramblings of a lunatic. So, what if you could is there going to be a New Jerusalem, or is that just Christian folklore? I never really understood that.
So to refine your question, it would be, is heaven going to be up in the sky, or is the world going to be the new heaven and earth, so to speak? I mean, because that's one thing I've heard too, is that heaven's not anywhere. It's not going to be on earth. It's going to be like up in the sky somewhere. And so with that said, the New Jerusalem, is that also going to be in the sky if heaven's going to be there, or is the earth going to be the new heaven where the king will reign and all this other stuff? Rev, go ahead and hang up now. I'm going to take this to the next caller and put him on hold, okay? Thank you, brother. All right, bye.
Thank you, man. Yes, sir.
You bet. Hey, caller, sit tight. We will be with you in just a few minutes. Don't hang up, okay?
Dad, you're such...
Okay, don't hang up, all right?
Okay, I got you.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
All right. Here's how I would answer it. Other better rabbis will give a better answer. But people forget that it's not just everything all at once when the real Messiah comes. Okay? There are steps. There are, I don't know what to call them, steps that occur. And various rabbis will disagree on the order in which those steps take place. For example, we know there'll be a resurrection of the dead. Does that happen when the Messiah comes? Does that happen deeper into the Messiah's reign over all the earth? Is there supposed to be a certain amount of time that the Messiah is recognized worldwide as the Messiah before there's a resurrection? Okay, so I don't see it as an either-or situation. Okay, heaven right now, we imagine being up in the heavens. Okay, but you're up in the heavens is physical, and we're talking about a spiritual realm. So heaven is a spiritual realm. It's not up. It's not. It's spiritual. Okay, but there will come a time where the characteristics, shall we say, of what happens on earth changes radically. Death will cease. Okay, there'll be a resurrection of the dead. There's a reformulation of how things work. Okay, so when it talks about a New Jerusalem, what it's talking about is at the place we now call Jerusalem, but there are changes that have taken place. Okay, the temple will be rebuilt. That alone makes a new Jerusalem. Okay, the Messiah will reign as ruler over all the earth. Okay, out of Jerusalem shall come forth the law. Okay, but when does this occur? Okay, there's a wide variety. So it's not an either or. Is heaven up in heaven? Is heaven up in heaven? That makes sense. Is this? How did you word it, William?
So they say heaven is supposed to be like up in the sky somewhere.
Up in the sky, yeah.
Yeah.
So is it up in the sky or is it in Jerusalem? The answer is when. When in the course of the Messiah being the Messiah are we talking about? So I think you have to recognize that there are certain things that are going to take place when the real Messiah comes. But the order in which they take place, the chronology, that's the word, the chronology of of what happens, okay, is subject to debate. Okay, we know that the dead will be resurrected. With my dead body will rise. I mean, this is, Isaiah 26. So, but when does that occur? So yes, there's going to be a new Jerusalem, but in the chronology of the things that occur when the coming of the Messiah happens, okay, then it's subject to debate. We do know that it'll happen.
So I'm not clear. You meaning that at some point in time there will be a heaven's location in the sky somewhere, not just on Earth?
Well, but you can't say in the sky.
Well,
the
but
sky
not. I'm
is
talking about.
physical.
Okay, let me narrow that down. Is it going to be on the Earth where our feet are touching the ground? If it is, that means it can't be in the sky.
The question is yes.
Okay.
But your question is very limited in its scope.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, here let me explain this at least as best I can, because I'm not this. Okay. There's a spiritual realm. There's a physical realm. There is eventually going to be a spiritual nature to the days of the Messiah. Okay. Let's see if I can find. Wait a minute. Let's see. Given to him dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, nations, languages should serve him. The whole universe comes to, the whole world, not universe, comes to serve the real Messiah. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So either the Messiah reestablishes the Davidic dynasty. Why does he have to be a descendant of David? Because he reestablishes the Davidic dynasty with his own descendants. Okay. Some will interpret that to mean that he never dies. If you got God behind you, anything's possible. Okay. So the universal peace that occurs, does it start the moment that the Messiah comes? Or does the people on the earth slowly have to come to realize that this really is the real Messiah? Okay, let's see. Slowly the world becomes either purely monotheist or completely converts to Judaism. Let's get into more ethereal things. Zechariah 13:2, all the names of the idols will be cut out of the land, no longer remembered. Idolatry ends. Universal recognition that our God, our idea of God is God. The earth shall be full of the knowledge of the eternal as the waters cover the sea. Okay, these are real world, real perceivable things that occur. Okay, but there are also things that are not, that are more ethereal. Okay, let's see. The temple will be rebuilt. These are physical things. Let's see. Come on. Isaiah 25. He will swallow up death in victory, and the eternal God will wipe away tears from off all faces. The rebuke of his people he shall take away from off all the earth, for the eternal has spoken it. I was right. Isaiah 26. your dead men shall live, together with my dead body shall they rise. Okay. Many of those that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves. You can't get clearer image of resurrection than these verses. Okay. Let's see. Much of this is physical. Some of it is very spiritual. Okay. Let's see. Trees yield their fruit monthly in Israel. So these are very spiritual things, but eventually you've got things like death will be destroyed. There's no more death. Well, are people no longer going to have children? Of course they're going to have children. So, by the way, the rabbi said that, some of the rabbis said that between now and the days of the Messiah, there's no real change. The earth still goes on like it has been going on. People still will do what they do. But eventually, you're going to have a massive change in reality. And that's when the more spiritual things occur. The dead resurrect. Death will cease. These kinds of things. So again, when does it occur? In the course of the reign of the Messiah, at the beginning, and as soon as he comes, near the end, when things start changing. Again, you have debates over that.
Okay.
So the New Jerusalem can be physical when the Messiah starts reigning. Okay. The New Jerusalem can also be when death ceases and resurrection occurs, and there's a second judgment of everybody, and the way in which the world works changes.
Okay.
So that's probably not as accurate or as clear an answer as he would like, but I hope that goes at least a little bit of a way to answering.
Okay, good deal. We will go ahead now and we'll take this caller. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Ken Raff, Johnson City, Tennessee.
Hey, Ken, welcome back. How are you, bro?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
I've got one question that I'm asking for a friend, I guess, that I can't figure out either, and we've yet to find an explanation that seems to fit, and that is Exodus 20, where the 10 Commandments are given, and then Exodus 34, where there's 10 more commandments, but they seem to change, and so I'm able to count 10, but I don't know if that's the correct 10. And then if you have time, a quick question about Abraham's circumcision, and is that the point where Abraham went into covenant, was when he circumcised in the last Torah portion? That's it.
Okay, Ken, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this next caller, because this show's pretty much designed for like New Testament questions when we've got them. I'm going to take the next caller, and if they've already hung up or something, then we'll come back to this and touch base on it. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you, brother. Okay, caller, you with us? You're live on the air. Hello. Caller, you're live on the air. Give them a few seconds. There's about a 10, 12-second delay in what they're hearing and what's actually happening. Caller, you there? Oh, it would help if I took them off of hold. Caller, you are live on the air. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, William. My name is Michael. I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Michael, welcome.
Thank you for everything you do.
You're very welcome.
You're changing the world, for real.
Thank you.
I'm someone, I believe that I'm seeking conversion. Reason being is because it seems like incredibly sad to picture my life without its primary focus being on Hashem. And to not be as close to Hashem as I would as if I were a Jew or be called one of his own. I can't picture what my life would be like, or what my kid's life would be like without conversion.
Okay.
So my question is, to those looking to remain Noahides, What resources do they have? How should they expand? And do they need a Jewish leader?
Okay. Well, the answer in short is if a person is going to be following a Noahide idea, they need to have some solid teachings as to what that actually means. And so the conflict is there's so many, there's almost a battle going on, like, no, I'm the right one. No, he's the right one. No, I'm the right one. I don't want to share. I'm the one that's supposed to be teaching everybody. And it's really kind of frustrating.
Right.
And so realistically, finding the right teacher is maybe difficult, but idealistically, just find you an Orthodox rabbi who knows as much as they can about it and stick with that, and just like in every Jewish community, Orthodox Jewish community even, right, different rabbis will have slightly variances of ways that they deal with things. Somebody called and asked Rabbi Singer one time, hey, I'm an Orthodox Jew. I go to this synagogue, but I have a question to ask you. And he asked him, and Rabbi told him, you need to go ask your rabbi because he's your guy. He's your rabbi. He's the one who's actually over you. And so you kind of have to look at it that way as well. For me, I'm satisfied where I'm at because I've got people on my show that I connect with, that it makes sense to me. So we've got some good teachings here. So I don't even look anywhere else. That's the short answer. Rabbi, would you like to?
Well, no,
Thank you.
How can you know what Judaism requires of a B'nai Noach unless you talk to an Orthodox rabbi who knows about B'nai Noach?
Right.
I mean, you have to, obtain for yourself a rabbi.
Right.
So
it's kind of like studying that people want to study the oral law on their own. You can't do that.
No, it's like forget the oral law. It's like people pick up the Bible,
right.
and they think because they know they read the Bible, they'll be able to come up with Judaism.
You're right.
This is how you wind up with Protestantism having 30,000 different denominations. Two people agree on how to interpret a concept, and they create their own denomination. This is this is why you need an oral tradition. This is why you need beliefs.
Right. Mitzvahs Golem, you said you just drove through Johnson City. You mean Tennessee or Texas? Because if you drove through Johnson City, Texas, you're not far from me. So there we go. Okay, so let's see where we're at. All right, here's a question for you. So it's
wait a minute. Wait. I'm trying to find something I really want to discuss. First of all, I'm hoping I can find this real quick.
No,
and of course I can't.
That's all right.
Give me 1 second. One more. Let me just look one more place.
Take your time.
Oh, God, it's just.
Meanwhile, I'm scrolling, looking for any other questions, any New Testament questions we need to deal with. Son of a Silver Stacker, you're very welcome. Good to see you out there tonight. A lot of good viewers out there.
All right, I can't find it real quick, and of course, I'm an old man. Oh, whoa! Oh no, that's not it. All right. Well, at any rate, to make a long story short, to answer the gentleman's question about the Ten Commandments.
Oh yes, go ahead.
Okay, real quick, the Jewish set of 10 Commandments is not the same thing as the Roman Catholic set of 10 Commandments, which is not the same thing as some Protestant churches, Protestant denominations set of 10 Commandments. They're all derived, as he said, from Exodus chapter 20, okay, from 16 verses, okay, 16, 17, whatever it is, verses that make up those commandments, but how they're divided up and what constitutes a commandment differs between Judaism, Catholicism, and some of the Protestant churches. So you have to understand that Judaism looks at it a certain way, Catholicism looks at them a certain way, and some Protestant churches look at them differently than the Catholic Church. So having said that, we didn't keep him on the phone to know how he divided it up. Okay, but he made a statement about I think it was Exodus 30-something, where he's claimed that there was a different set of 10 commandments or different 4 or 5 more commandments. I thought he said 32, but I'm not sure where he's talking about. And regarding that, Moses is given the 10 commandments in Exodus 20. Those 10 commandments are given to the people of Israel out loud, okay, by God. Okay, some would say that only the first syllable, whatever. The point is to make is that it comes from God. The authority for those commandments are God. Okay, the next time you have a listing of the 10 commandments, it's not meant to be a repetition of the first time it was given. Okay, in Deuteronomy, for example, Moses isn't sitting there with the 10 commandments in front of him, quoting it and reading it to the people. He's talking about it from the top of his head.
It's like a reiteration, sort of.
Yeah, and it's a sermon. He's a speech.
Right.
The book of Deuteronomy consists of 3, there's a name for them, speeches, but that's not what they call them. 3 speeches that he gives to the people of Israel before he leaves them, and they go on to the promised land, and he dies on the mountain.
It's like a final warning. Hey guys,
final word, yeah, final speeches. I don't remember what the name. Yeah, but the point is that he's not trying to quote it exactly. He's trying to remind them to keep in covenant with God. That's the point here.
That's a good point, right?
You know, he's not reading dictation here. He's coming off the top of his head. You know, he's reminding them of history. He's reminding them of the things that happened to them along the way. He's reminding them of all sorts of things. And he's not a young man anymore. He's 120. So not supposed to be perfect renditions of what came forth. These are commentaries, I guess you might say, on the original 10 found in Exodus 20.
Very good. Very good. Okay, here's another question for you. This comes from Michael Martell. This is through an email that says, could it be argued when Jesus was picking wheat or whatever it was, they were gathering stuff on the Sabbath day, that's not a violation because the New Testament wasn't clear on that?
Well, it wasn't clear for one thing, but what seems to me to be clear is that they weren't starving. To me, it seems that they weren't dying of thirst in a dusty desert. They weren't, about to not have enough nutrition.
Right.
So the issue is, what were the exact circumstances under which they were violating the commandments?
Right.
And it doesn't sound to me like they were starving. They weren't saving their lives by violating the Sabbath.
But it does. Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't sound like they were violating the Sabbath necessarily because they were only grabbing enough to eat. They weren't harvesting it, and packaging it for later.
And I disagree. I think they were harvesting because as they were grabbing the stalks, pulling the wheat right off the stalk and shoving it in their mouth.
But that's not gathering for storage, though. That's just gathering to eat. It's different.
Why is it different? It's still gathering.
Well, I mean, the stories throughout Tanakh this show that you can't harvest. Harvest means, well, you can take harvest however you want to, but I always thought that if you just pick something to eat it, like an apple off of a tree, you're not gathering a whole bag of apples where you couldn't possibly eat them. It's different.
I will have to reread all this. I'd have to investigate it. That's not how I remember it.
Okay. And I'm not really sure. I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, I remember it either.
Okay.
But it seems to me that the issue would be, are they doing this are they violating Jewish law? If in fact they are violating Jewish law, are they violating Jewish law to save life? No, they're not. So
Gotcha.
You're right. We'd have to go back to see how that is handled in the halakha.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
All right.
Let's see. I don't see any
Michael
more questions.
Martell. I don't think I've heard that name in a long time. Welcome back.
Yeah. Well, he's not in YouTube. He actually sent me an email, and I need to respond to it. Since there weren't any questions. There were.
Hello,
obvious.
S Chassis Weekly. He. Michael Martell is me.
Wait, who is that? Where you see that at?
7:35 p.m.
And S Chassis Weekly. Oh, cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's great. Okay, so I apologize for not responding to your email. At least I finally saw it. Well, at least to your last one anyway regarding that thing. Hope I presented that question well. So very good. Excellent. Very good.
Okay, Travis Reed brings something up that comes up rather often. Okay, and this is 7:35 p.m. also. Travis Reed. How did we ever come to a Messiah King in Judaism and Christianity when we were told not to add or take away from the Torah? Is there a place in Torah of inauguration or instruction for a Messiah King? Okay, in the Tanakh, there are numerous passages that talk about a descendant of David coming back and making the world into a utopia. What we're dealing with the Messiah being, the king, reestablishing David's dynasty, okay, is interpretation of the already existing Hebrew scriptures. When the text says, do not add or take away from the Torah, tell me how many words were added to the Torah? Where exactly does it now talk about a Messiah king in Judaism in the Torah? Where was those paragraphs added to the original text? It's not saying you can't take it and interpret it and apply it to the modern situation. Okay? What it's saying is that you got a specific text that makes up the Torah. Don't change the words that are in the Torah. Don't add to the words that are found in the Torah scroll. Don't take away words from what is found in the Torah scroll. But it's not saying you can't interpret it and apply it to the modern world.
Well, they don't believe that either because
yes, they do.
No, because they clearly use a what do you call it, Strong's Concordance, which adds all kinds of stuff to it. It adds interpretations. So,
and they talk about the 613 commandments of the Torah,
right?
And there are those who use the same system of counting. If there's a line that's considered to be a commandment, marking it down, then going back later and counting up how many there are. They use the same system to come up with 613. They look at the New Testament. They found over 1,000 commandments of Jesus.
Right.
So if 1,000 is greater than 613,
that means they're adding to it.
And last time I had a math class, 613 was less than 10,052 or something like that. I forgot how many. Then it strikes me who's adding.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
yep,
but it doesn't. When it says "do not add or take away from the Torah," it means change the text that we have in God's Torah. Change a word, add a word, subtract a word in the text.
Right.
That's what it's talking about. But there are plenty of passages that talk about a descendant of King David who's going to reestablish the Davidic dynasty and rule. Either we just talked about it.
Yeah, right.
Right. So.
All right. A little quiet tonight, guys. The phone number is 855-952-4253. I was on the screen. It keeps disappearing. Let me put it back up. Feel free to call back in. There it is.
Huh.
Okay. This thing's doing some weird things. Okay, there it is right there. Good deal. All right. So what do you think, Rabbi?
About what?
About
other callers?
About refried beans.
I love refried beans.
Okay, so yep, no callers, no comments, and it's only 7:40.
Jesus tells Jews to pick on Shabbat and says healing on Shabbat illegal. Both Avirah sins. Healing on the Sabbath is illegal? Not quite sure I agree with that statement. I'm not sure which healing, or specifically what being healed is what he's referring to.
Yeah, right.
All right. Ken, Ralph, you're going to have to be a lot more clear when you talk about Acts 15.
All right, we do.
Why was Acts 15 a situation? What in Acts 15 are you referring to?
Acts 15, where they were saying about circumcision, or I'm trying to find. I lost my YouTube page. We do have a caller, by the way. Where's my YouTube page at? Is that it right there? Yeah, that's it right there. Some other thing just walked off the page. Okay, so yeah. So Ken Raff, if you want to specify a point of Acts 15, I know that area very well, but just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Do you have an idea what he might be referring to?
what was the context of the question to begin with? And I could tell you, because Acts 15:1 really talks about them agreeing.
And all I see is, why was Acts 15 even a situation? I don't see anybody else. I don't think. Wait a minute, coming before him, even talking about Acts 15. So I don't know what he's.
Well, Acts 15 is talking about supporting of the law, but it really is to me, it looks more of like a violation. So there's probably some confusion there altogether. In fact, let me just read it real fast. Hang on, give me a second. Acts 15 verse 1. Okay, so the certain men which came down from Judea taught the brothers that said, except you be circumcised after the manner of Moses, you cannot be saved. Therefore, Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and disputation with them. They determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other men should go up to Jerusalem and to the other apostles and elders about this question. But the thing is, it says after the manner of Moses, not after the law of Moses. So a lot of teaching suggests that he's actually saying that he needs to do it according to the oral law. But even still, it says unless you do it that way, you cannot be saved. But they're still talking about being saved, and there's no idea of being saved in Judaism. You're either following God or you're not. It's not about being saved. So
the issue that I remember from the book of Acts, which may or may not be the 15th chapter, is that the conflict between Paul basically saying, yeah, you don't have to keep the law, just believe in Jesus, and Peter and James saying, no, wait a minute. Okay. And to me, that means as early as Acts, you have the split between what became Christianity and what remained Judaism.
Right.
Because Judaism says you have to keep the law, and Paul's whole thing was against the law.
Well, Paul was speaking out of both sides of his mouth. I mean, sometimes he was like, no, you got to keep the law, because he even talked about keeping Passover and all this other stuff. But then he turned right around to other crowds and saying the opposite.
On who he was talking to.
Right, exactly. Okay, caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Fred from Cleveland, Ohio. How you doing?
Welcome. What's the question today?
Hey, I have a question. This is either am I right or am I totally off base? I get the impression that a major difference between Judaism and Christianity is that Christianity seems to be focused around death of Jesus, dying, what happens when I die, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas Judaism, it's Chaim,
right,
to life.
Right.
I would agree.
Am I accurate or am I off base?
No, you're right on target, because
incredibly accurate.
The whole aspect of Christianity and causing people to run to Jesus is a fear factor of going to hell. And with Judaism, it's about living here on earth and making this world a better place,
exactly.
not getting fire insurance, so to speak.
Plus you have the whole you have the whole blood and gore of this is my body, this is my blood. Okay, cannibalism, whether it's Catholic real cannibalism or Protestant symbolic cannibalism, it's still cannibalism. Eating the blood of God, eating Jesus's blood or eating Jesus's flesh, which I can't think of anything more gross than that.
Right.
So yes, they are all about blood and gore and death and dying, and the image of their Jesus on the cross. And Judaism is not about how to get to the next world; it's all about how to live in this world, and therefore choose life.
Yep, very good. So thank you for your question. Next caller, you're back. Looks like Ken Raff is back.
Can I just?
Yeah. Go ahead. Ken, give us a second.
I'm remembering more of the Acts stuff.
No, that's good. Go ahead.
Okay. What is the whole point of circumcision? It's not just circumcision. Circumcision was the whole entryway for the Gentile community to become Jews. So the issue that Paul is raising against James and Peter is, do you have to become Jewish first to become a part of this religion called Christianity, what became known as Christianity? So circumcision is like the door, and they're saying, do you even have to go through the door? Just become a Christian. Paul is basically, and Paul won the battle. He lost the war. He lost the battle, but won the war. And that is, no, they basically completely did away with Jewish law, which included circumcision, and said, no, just go straight to Jesus. Because more and more, they were appealing to a Gentile audience, a Gentile group of followers, and they weren't commanded in the first place. Mm-hmm. And God spoke to Moses and said, speak to the Gentiles and command them? No. And God spoke to Moses and said, speak to the children of Israel and command them, and goes on from there.
Right.
So they were never commanded in the first place. So the issue is, do they have to become a Jew to get to this Christianity stuff? And Paul said, no, if you become a Jew, if you get circumcision, then you're bound to keep the whole law.
Right.
Okay. The issue was circumcision is the gateway, and Paul was saying you don't even have to go to the gate. Just go straight to this Christianity stuff.
Yeah. Okay, should we take a call?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Ken, we'll be right back with you. I double dipped on this thing. 1 second. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from. Hello, hello. Call's on hold.
Hello, hello.
Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from. Hello? There you are. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yes, you're live on the air.
Yes, just a quick question. Regarding how Judaism is practiced today, there's basically you have the Reformed, Conservative, and Orthodox movements. There's different levels of observance. Can you just go and do a brief overview of why today, for the most part, or you could have an opinion on it, why the Kabbalistic applications are not, to do a more thorough review of the Torah and that aspect of it, and what you think about that, more broadly speaking. Thank you.
Okay, I've got probably a dozen shows on that. Why don't you send me an email and let me give you a few links through the email of shows that talk about that in depth. Would that be okay?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, just send me an email, william@tanaktalk.com. That's TANACH. Let me put my ad back up here, my information again real fast. 1 second. And then actually I'll go ahead and hang up with you now and just send me an email to this email address you see on the screen right now. Yeah, actually, TanakTalkQuestions@gmail.com. That's perfect. Okay? Thank you for your call. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name. Where are you calling from?
Hi, yes. I'm Dan from Cleveland, Ohio.
Danny, welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to see if you could comment. I recently got back from a trip to Israel. Some of the synagogues we went to, ancient synagogues, they had like the image of like the Helios and like the 12 signs, astrological signs, like in the center. And from my understanding, in modern synagogues, they don't have any images of people or even animals. And I just want to see if you could comment on that and what was the thinking back in those times.
I'm going to pass that on to Rabbi Federow because I have no clue. Thank you for your call, though.
There's a great conversation in Jewish tradition. There's a great conversation among the rabbis on this issue. There's a hammam ha-Turki, a Turkish bath, a spa. Okay, and one of the rabbis, very famous rabbi, and you're going to ask me which one, I can't remember. That's typical me. One of the rabbis loves going to the spa, to the Turkish bath. But this Turkish bath has these pagan god statues all over the place. And the other rabbis say, harangue him, how can you go to this place? They've got these statues all over the place. They're idolatry. You can't do that. And he answers them by saying the following. He says, I'm not there to worship them. They are there to worship me. What does he mean by that? He means that the statues, people don't worship them anymore. They're decoration. They don't take them seriously. Nobody's going to bow down to a statue. This was much later than that period. Okay, look, you had monotheism starting to take over the Greco-Roman world. Okay, during the Greco-Roman period, where it was what's the fancy term, henotheistic or something? I can't remember the term.
Don't give me a
where They may say there's a bunch of gods, but they really only worship one of them. They're not saying that others don't exist, but they're saying that we concentrate on one. Okay? Some, by the way, scholars accuse Judaism of doing the same thing. That's whatever. But the point is that he's telling them, I don't go there to worship those statues. They're there to beautify the place for my sake. And so the floor of the one of the places he's talking about that has the full zodiac in tiles on the floor, okay, just because they used these symbols to decorate doesn't mean they were worshiping them. So I think that the idea of not having them at all gave way to the idea of using them to decorate.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They didn't put them up in order to worship them. They put them up because they were pretty little pictures.
Got it. Okay, moving on. Ken, sorry it took so long to get back with you. You're live on the air. Please tell us what your question is.
Well, so you guys were talking about Acts 15, and the question that I was asking and trying to figure out is why in the world was Acts 15 even happening after reading Genesis 17 that it's an absolute must. I'm confused that there would have been a conversation about it and why.
About what?
About circumcision?
About circumcision.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
again, what's his name?
This is Ken Rafi. He's a good friend.
Ken, hi Ken. Ken, non-Jews aren't commanded to circumcise.
That's what it's all about. Acts 15 is about that.
The issue is, should they become Jews by getting circumcised in order to get to this Christianity stuff? Paul says, don't become circumcised because then you have to keep all of the law, all 613. What Paul was saying is, forget this Jewish stuff. Just go straight to Jesus. Just go straight to Christianity. Just go straight to the theology that he was presenting. And he got in trouble with James and Peter, 14, 15, 16. And there's this big to-do between them where James and Peter tell Paul, start making people, obeying the commandments. Make them Jewish first. And Paul eventually won the war, even though he lost this particular battle, because eventually Christianity and Judaism split, I think, very, very early in the creation of Christian theology, Pauline theology explicitly. Okay. And the issue of Acts 15 is, do I have to become a Christian? Start over. Do I have to become a Jew to become a Christian? And Paul's answer is, don't become a Jew. Don't get circumcised. Go straight to Christianity. Just start believing that Jesus died for your sin and all that stuff.
Right.
So, but Gentiles are not commanded, they're not commanded to do any of the mitzvot. The Tanakh, the Torah, is God's relationship with the Jewish people, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all those who threw in their lot with the Jewish people by converting to the religion of Judaism.
William? By the way, that's a great. I appreciate the answer that the rabbi just gave. The verse in Exodus that I was asking about earlier was 34. About.
Okay. Exodus chapter
34,
Exodus,
where they
chapter 34. Got it.
And which verse?
Well, it's the whole chapter. It appears that a whole nother set of 10 commandments is given. Is what it appears to me.
Oh, you're referring back to the 10 commandments.
But that's not how I.
Yeah.
Right. I see what you mean.
I'm off subject.
Gotcha. All right, cool deal, man. All right, well, hey, dude, thanks for your call, man. Appreciate it. It's good talking with you again.
Thanks, you guys.
You bet. Have a good day.
To me, these are clarifications of the earlier laws, and they're not different laws. You could say that they are additional laws to the 10 because they expand on them. No other gods before me. Well, 34:15. Do not make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, that they go a-whoring after their gods and do sacrifice to their gods. Okay. So now you've got the idea of not worshiping. You also have the idea of not sacrificing to them. Okay. It says no molten gods, but right before it, you shall, basically against interfaith marriage. It's not a different 10. Okay. It's a repetition of some of the laws that were in the 10, but also additional laws that God wants us to keep. The 10 commandments don't include the Feast of Unleavened Bread, i.e. Passover. Exodus 34:18, the Feast of Unleavened Bread you shall keep. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. That's not instead of the 10 commandments. That's not, forgetting to list one of the 10 commandments. It's any addition to the 10 commandments. So scattered there throughout are the 10, but in addition, God is adding to the list. I don't see it as conflict at all, but that's how I look at it,
All right. We'll go ahead and move on to this next caller then. Caller, you are live on the air. Tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Yes, real quick. I'm sorry about the noise.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
So the question is, if Jesus had to die for the world's sin, but when he said, I command my spirit, what exactly does that mean? Did he actually die, or did suicide? I mean, I'm confused on that. That would be my question. Thank you guys for what you do. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Hey, you too. Thanks.
If you believe that Jesus went willingly to the cross, it seems to me that you have to believe allowing himself to be killed, okay? Have you ever heard the term suicide by cop? This was suicide by Rome. Okay, if he went willingly, which I don't believe he did, not my will but your will be done, okay, then you could call it suicide by Rome. There's about 1,000 different ifs there. If Jesus were God, he could have not had this happen to him. He let it happen to him. That's suicidal.
Yeah.
So, that, and you began by saying, if Jesus had to die, only Christianity believes that he had to die. The Bible, God does not believe that you have to die that anybody can die for someone else's sins. Deuteronomy 24:16. No man shall be put to death for the sins of his child. No child will be put to death for the sins of his parents. Everybody's put to death for his own sin. God said, Ish bechet'o yumatu. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin means that nobody else can die for your sin. And that's only one place. There's plenty of places in the Tanakh where this is stated. Ezekiel 18. Okay? The wickedness of the wicked is on the wicked. The goodness of the good is on the good. It doesn't say the wickedness of the wicked is on the good. The wickedness of the wicked is on the wicked. So the first thing you started out with is rejected by God and the Bible and Judaism to begin with. But if you accept Christian theology, if you accept Christianity and the premises with which they operate, and Jesus was God, which, for I am God and not a man, Hosea teaches us, and Numbers 23:19, if God were a man, he'd be a liar because all men lie, and if God became a man, then like all other men, he'd be a liar too. Okay? But if you accept the idea that Jesus was God, and God doesn't have to die because God is God, and he allowed himself to be killed, that's suicide by Rome. I think I answered his question.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm going to say that that's going to pretty much wrap us up for tonight, Rabbi.
Oh, you're no fun.
Well, it's good seeing you all out here. Had a lot of viewers out here. I think we hit 110 at one point. So thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notifications. When you click the notification bell, you'll see 3 options. If you don't select all, then you're going to miss out on certain videos that pop up. And so if you want to get notified on every time an activity happens on the channel, just click that all button, and that should be able to take care of giving you information that you need. So, Rabbi, thank you again. You guys have a wonderful...
My pleasure, always is.
Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, my dear friends. Hope this message finds you well. If you like the way this channel is going, and the channel has been a blessing to you, please consider supporting the channel by going to the website, TanachTalk.com, TanachTalk.com. Thank you once again for your time and for supporting Tanakh Talk. Shalom. Shalom, my dear friends. Hope this message...
תמיד כולם ביחד, חשוב מכל חשוב